I was standing on a deck overlooking a lake. It's a beautiful scene. I looked over at my friend John. And I said, John, tell me what it was like when you got home from Vietnam. John took a moment. He looked up at me and said, George, it was the best day and it was the worst day of my life. It was the best day because I had gotten home from Vietnam safe. And it was the worst day because when I stepped out of the airport, a protester walked up to me, spit on me, and called me a baby killer. I said, John, what'd you do? He looked at me and said, fucking punched him in the face. The cops came in. He said, you just spit on me. And the cops dragged the protester off. And I reflected on this story. I thought about it. And the conclusion I reached is a nation that turns its back on its warriors will not be a nation for very long. Welcome home, John. Thank you for coming here tonight. Thank you very much. I asked y'all to come here because I have a story to tell. When I was a young man, I took on a very sacred duty, and that duty was the protector of a nation. And I went and I experienced this, and now I want to bring it home and share it with the citizens, so the citizens can understand what goes into combat. You cast a vote, you understand what you're voting for, what you're sending us young citizens to go do. So thank you for sitting here and listening. So I'll start. I grew up in Hanover, Massachusetts, a small town. I had the most loving parents, brother. It was just a wonderful upbringing. I was raised with nothing but love, just all the time. Parents devoted their whole lives, my brother and I. It was a strong veteran family. So my father, Navy, brothers a Marine, both my grandfathers, World War II, uncles, the whole nine. So growing up, I was never really interested in school. Nothing about it appealed to me. I was just bored all the time. Just constantly bored. I liked the combat sports though. I was the youngest on both sides, so I got beat up a lot. Remember, my grandfather taught me how to fight when I was 7. He told me to protect that chin. He said, you're gonna need to know this. So it was just a wonderful upbringing that I didn't really have any direction. School wasn't really too appealing. My parents convinced me to go to a military university. Man, that was interesting. So I got to this university. They were making me do school. They were teaching things. They were teaching me how to dine properly and how to ballroom dance. Now that an 18-year-old, nothing I wanted to be learning at least. So much to my parents' dismay, I left that school. And I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. Oh, the Marine Corps, I love the Marine Corps, the family business. Found myself, April 2007, I was 18 years old, I shipped to Parris Island. And this place was very unique. You could say they brainwash, they indoctrinate, and I'm sure all that happens, but the things that I got out of it, they taught 3 main things there. So essentially, you're training people to do horrible things, let's be real. But they train you in these 3 things. First is honor, second is courage, and the third is commitment. So you take a bunch of young people from all over the country. You put them together, and through chaos, you teach them honor, courage, and commitment. And those are three things that all Marines have. I actually enjoyed boot camp. I didn't find it difficult. Just do what you're told. When you're told, boom, it was a breeze. Graduated Parris Island, and I was a Marine. Oh, I was so proud. And the next stop was School of Infantry, Infantry Training Battalion. This was the first time in my life I had been around combat vets, like fully. I was enthralled by this. The way these men spoke. They had just gotten back from these huge battles. They were in Fallujah, Ramadi, Nasiriyah. They'd done all these big things and they would talk about it to us. It was so exciting. The things they would say, one of the things they would emphasize is the brotherhoods you're going to form in combat. Give a little insight to the mind of an 18-year-old. I'm in this school and my machine gun instructor's walking. And he's clearly heavily medicated. He's not with us. And I remember looking at him and saying, I want to be just like that guy. I was like, if that dude is that medicated, that means he must have saw a lot of combat. I want to be that. And that's what an 18-year-old's thinking. While in infantry school, I trained on 3 machine guns. The first being the 240 Bravo, which is a machine gun you carry on the shoulder. This would be my primary weapon system. The second machine gun was a 50 caliber Marmaduke, and the third is a Mark 19, which is an automatic grenade launcher. It's kind of cool. Straight from infantry school, they sent me to the Fleet Marine Force. I checked into a unit, 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marines, the Warlords. The fleet is a very interesting place. This was my introduction to tribalism. So you get to a unit, and they put you together, essentially trauma bonding. They put you against other units. And you do an incredible amount of training. I remember when I got to the fleet, we were training all the time. We were doing machine gun ranges. We were doing sleep deprivation. We were doing food deprivation. The training was just so much. We would sleep on the ground. They would create these harsh environments. Doing a lot of urban warfare training as well. And then when we weren't training, we were drinking. The Marine Corps Barracks is a very interesting place. I don't recommend visiting unless you were in the Marine Corps Infantry. This is essentially what Marines use as a vetting system to see who has to make it in combat. Make a very violent, it's a very difficult life. It's like a code. Drink whiskey, smoke cigarettes, fight on a whim, visit strip clubs. That's the life outside of the field. We trained a bunch. And in May 2008, I deployed to Iraq. Small town called Rawa, Iraq. There's a small city right on the Euphrates River. At this point in 2008, they weren't really engaging Marines anymore. They really wanted us to get out of Iraq and go away. So the best way to get Marines to go away is you don't engage them. I lived outside the wire. I immersed myself in the Iraqi culture. I had a kind of a cool experience there. It was during Ramadan, first day of Ramadan. I was working in an Iraqi police station. And so we shut the police station down for the night. And they were fasting all day, and I was drinking water in front of them. It was actually kind of funny. So the sun went down, and then you'd see all the women in the city carrying these huge plates of food. I sat down with all these Iraqi policemen and we just gorged. We had a Ramadan feast. It was wonderful. Iraq was actually kind of nice, all things considered. And then we got back from Iraq, and the unit said, "Gentlemen, you're going to a hornet's nest." We were slated to go into Afghanistan, and we had a very clear mission to break the Taliban's back in their heartland. To do this, we trained. We trained all the time. We were constantly in the field, sleeping on the ground. I slept on the ground way more than I slept in a bed. They wanted us to be ready. So, a little bit about training. For example, one range in California, I shot 10,000 overhead rounds over my Marines just to prepare. And this was constant with the training. And then we had a very emotional goodbye. Loved ones,